WWE's plans for the return of Ronda Rousey. Even though one report suggests Ronda Rousey could be done with WWE forever, the company is optimistic that she will be back. According to Fightful.com, WWE officials are hopeful that the UFC Hall of Famer returns to the company either later this year or next year, but Rousey has given WWE no clear indication of her next move. What's it mean for WWE? One of the biggest stories of 2019 will be whether or not Rousey decides to return to WWE. Rousey hinted just this week that she would be trying to start a family soon, and ESPN may have confirmed that, but WWE has reportedly penciled in Rousey vs. Becky Lynch for WrestleMania 36 next year. Throw in Rousey's recent injury and a wide variety of other factors, including SmackDown's move to Fox, and it will be interesting to see if Rousey comes back to WWE later this year, in time for WrestleMania 36 or not at all. Her departure actually comes at a very bad time for WWE, too. With Nia Jax undergoing double knee surgery and a cloud of uncertainty hanging over the futures of Bayley and Sasha Banks, WWE has essentially been forced to push new talents, like Lacey Evans, to make up for her absence. Rest assured that WWE will do everything in its power to ensure that Rousey remains with the company until her contract expires in 2021, but there are no guarantees one way or the other that she'll be back. That means WWE must move forward with the pushes of stars like Evans as well as overlooked talent like Naomi and Ember Moon while Rousey is gone. Check this out. Figure 4 Weekly. Ronda Rousey confirms hiatus from WWE. https://t.co/bkjjutrigglepic.twitter.com/kffvzrkf1d. Wrestling Observer. @1-4w. April 17, 2019. Big update on The Undertaker's contract status. Credit WWE.com. Credit WWE.com. What's the deal? The Undertaker has apparently inked a new deal with WWE. After being removed from a scheduled Q. WWE doesn't want him doing it anymore. The Undertaker, who thought he'd be done as a wrestler after Super Showdown, was reportedly given an offer he couldn't refuse, but it was one that caused WWE to remove him from any non-WWE appearances. Foley explained the reasoning behind the cancellation on Facebook. HT says Scoops, adding, "Sometimes things happen, and no one's at fault. I believe WWE was just doing what they felt was best to keep the mystique and aura surrounding the single greatest character in company history alive and well." What's it mean for WWE? Vince McMahon was reportedly upset when The Deadman agreed to appear at the AEW-linked StarCast Pro Wrestling convention earlier this year, and now, it appears that WWE's head honcho is looking to keep one of his biggest stars from going elsewhere. WWE apparently had plans to use Taker at its next Saudi Arabia show, and though that may have changed after the date for the show also changed, it's been reported that Taker is wrestling at the Saudi Arabia event even after he missed WrestleMania because he will receive a considerably bigger payday for wrestling at the overseas spectacle than he would for working Mania. Taker's next match will reportedly take place in Saudi Arabia against Elias, but beyond that one-off match, there don't appear to be any long-term plans in place for him to wrestle again. It seems that WWE isn't worried about booking The Undertaker to wrestle as much as it simply wants to protect the mystique of his character and ensure that he isn't making appearances at non-WWE events. Whether that results in Taker wrestling a few more matches this year remains to be seen, but for now, it wouldn't be wise to bet on him working any show beyond the next Saudi Arabia event, whenever that may be. Check this out. Monopoly Events make official statement on The Undertaker's last ever appearance outside the WWE. https://t.co/hgvzvi. For the Love of Wrestling, @FDL Wrestling. April 15, 2019. Concerning injury news regarding Daniel Bryan. Credit WWE.com. Credit WWE.com. What's the deal? Daniel Bryan is injured, and WWE is keeping the extent of his injury under wraps. According to PWinsider.com, HT Wrestling Inc., Bryan suffered an injury at WrestleMania 35 and WWE isn't offering many details about the former WWE Champion's status. There's no official update on Daniel Bryan's status, but word is that he is dealing with an injury coming out of the WrestleMania 35 loss to WWE Champion Kofi Kingston, and the nature of his situation is being closely guarded, according to PWinsider. Bryan was not at Raw or SmackDown this week, and reportedly returned home last week after WrestleMania. He was not at SmackDown in Brooklyn last week, and it was reported that he was to be examined by doctors, but there's no news on what they found. What's it mean for WWE? Bryan has not been seen on WWE programming since his WrestleMania 35 match against Kofi Kingston, and there is reason to be concerned about his health coming out of the match. Of course, WWE famously prevented Bryan from wrestling for 3 years due to his history of concussion issues, and it was just over a year ago that he was miraculously cleared to wrestle again. There is no official word as to whether or not Bryan is suffering from some sort of head injury, but the fact that WWE is being so secretive in regards to his status is not a good sign. Over the past 6 months, Bryan has been one of the most entertaining acts on WWE programming, and if he's out for an extended period, that would be a huge loss to SmackDown. If fans are going to take the glass-half-full approach here, Bryan's absence should pave the way for other stars to rise up the card on the blue brand, with names like Lars Sullivan and Elias, in particular, standing to benefit from Bryan being gone. However, Bryan, despite now being one of WWE's top heels, has a passionate fan base that is surely wishing him well and cautiously optimistic that they will see him back in the near future. The hope is that Bryan's injury is nothing serious, and that he can get back to entertaining the masses within the next few weeks. Check this out: injury updates on Daniel Bryan. According to PWinsider.com, the main event for the SmackDown show in Huntington, VW on 4/29 is Roman Reigns vs. Elias. Elias has been added to multiple upcoming live events as well, while Reigns vs. Randy Orton is also advertised for some upcoming shows. What's it mean for WWE? The feud between Reigns and Elias was set up during this week's edition of SmackDown, and though that feud certainly doesn't feel fresh given that the two stars often crossed paths on Raw, it's not a bad way to start off their runs on the blue brand. Reigns is clearly being positioned as the face of SmackDown, and due to Bryan's injury and Samoa Joe's expected departure, there is a gaping hole at the top of the heel side on Tuesday nights. One of the biggest problems with the booking of Elias on Raw was that he rarely had an actual feud and was mostly used in random segments, but that should change on SmackDown, which does a much better job of creating exciting and engaging storylines than Raw does. Elias should be elevated by feuding with Reigns and being temporarily positioned as the top villain on SmackDown as the blue brand looks to build up other heels, including Lars Sullivan, on the New Look show. Look for Reigns, WWE's top full-time star, to gradually work his way up to the top of the card and eventually be positioned in the WWE title picture this summer, although a non-title feud with Orton could be quite intriguing as well. Check this out: watch Roman Reigns featured in a new trailer for Hobbs. That number is not a surprise, but it is also a colossal disappointment for what is typically one of WWE's most highly anticipated episodes of the year. On the flip side, SmackDown had a minimal increase of 20,000 viewers for an average of 2.219 million. Much of the credit for that can probably go to WWE advertising. Vince McMahon's announcement of the biggest acquisition in SmackDown Live history. Sami Zayn said that he signed a new 3-year contract with WWE last year prior to injury, which means he will likely be solidified as an upper mid-card for the foreseeable future. Indeed, he is in the early stages of a big push on Raw. Sheamus is currently injured with what is believed to be a concussion, and while there is no word on the seriousness of his injury, it looks like WWE is temporarily aligning his tag team partner Cesaro with Rusev and Shinsuke Nakamura during his hiatus. Shinsuke Nakamura, whose WWE contract reportedly expires later this year, will apparently be staying with the company, and though it's unclear if he's signed a new deal, it's imperative that WWE re-signs him and avoids letting him go elsewhere as the competition for talent heats up. Dean Ambrose is still advertised for 2 more WWE live events as well as Sunday's WWE Network special, The Shield's final chapter, even though the expectation is that he will be leaving the company ASAP. These will likely be the last shows he works for the company. Sasha Banks, who reportedly tried to quit WWE last week, has been granted a leave of absence to figure things out, and at this point, it isn't a certainty that she will ever return to the company. WWE is apparently hopeful that she will be back for next month's Money in the Bank pay-per-view, even though both she and Bayley were apparently upset about splitting up in the Superstar shakeup. The Miz was moved to Raw in order to better promote Miz and Mrs. No surprise there. John Cena may join the cast of the sequel to Suicide Squad, which would be one of his biggest roles yet and likely would keep him away from WWE for the foreseeable future. Ironically enough, Batista apparently already turned down the same role because he was too busy. After missing this week's TV tapings due to illness, Samoa Joe will be moved to Raw as well. That's a necessary move given that Finn Balor, WWE's other mid-card title holder, is now on SmackDown. Joe is expected to continue his feud with Braun Strowman on the Red brand. Bobby Lashley could take a brief hiatus from WWE following SummerSlam in order to fight one last time in MMA. He is still under contract with Bellator, but it remains to be seen if WWE will let him leave to fight elsewhere. WWE is optimistic that Beth Phoenix will work more dates for WWE moving forward, and while it isn't certain if Phoenix will ink a new deal with the company, she'd be a welcome addition to a women's division that is really lacking depth at the moment, particularly on Raw. Luke Harper requested his release from WWE after 6 years with the company, and while it isn't completely clear if that release has been granted, the former Wyatt family member would be a hot commodity on the indies if he's let out of his contract, which doesn't expire until November. WWE plans on pushing Seth Rollins if he